Because I knew, I haven't achieved anything yet. Who is this guy writing a book? There's so many people who are asking those questions. Who is this guy to write a book? You don't need to, again, I'll say this, you don't need to be 50 to discover what you're supposed to do on earth. Your phone is the greatest tool to your downfalls. When you start living life with purpose, you start feeling like you're living. If I had someone who teach me the ways of learning about yourself, I think this book would have started when I was 15.
Do I really need to find God to find purpose? What's your answer to that?
That's a very good question. I truly believe this is the beginning of greatness. Like when you read this book, treat it as a mirror.
I was fortunate to read the book and come up with a few questions. So when was it? Was it Friday or Thursday? Yeah, Friday. I think Friday last week. Muli decided, actually I told him, why don't you come, we go through the book and read it together. And as I read the book, I was actually very impressed. I remember we went downstairs and had dinner with my dad, and I was like, Dad, I can't believe this guy is 21. The kind of book he's
22.
You wrote it at 21, so let's take it, but sorry. Yeah, I couldn't believe that, a 21, 22-year-old had written such a book. But anyways, to my first question, what really inspired you to write a book? Not many people write a book at your age.
Well, for me, it shocked me that I actually wrote a book, and especially a book with such depth. You know what I'm saying? And for you guys might be surprised, I wrote the book in 4 days. And I barely slept in that process. Like, it's one of those things where I call flow state. Who's here that plays football? We know when you're Mike, Rocky Mike, my twin. Shout out to you. And shout out to Neville. Neville has been a blessing to MWOTAJI, Tribe of Dreamers. I have the visions, but he's the one who brought them to life. So please, Neville, stand up, please. Brother, I repent. Cheers. He has been a blessing. We're working together. We have so many things, like a lot more things coming for the brand. But in regards to the book, that was a quick detour. Why did I write the book? Can I be honest, guys? Can I be a bit vulnerable, if I must say? There's a few things that took place in 2023 that really changed the trajectory of my life. Because 2023, for most people, but for me rather, I'll talk about me, but 2023 was a difficult one. We experienced a lot of pain and disappointments, and that has been a lot. You know what I'm saying? I feel like pain is a tool. You can either use it as fuel for inspiration and insight, or you can use it for fuel for hate and revenge. And I used both fuels. I experienced the hate and the revenge, and I experienced the inspiration and insight. But we first start with, in May 2023, that's when that significant turning point took place. It shook me. And when that happened, my faith in God, and I believe my faith in God is the reason why I wrote this book. You know what I'm saying? I first have to acknowledge God, because if it wasn't for my relationship with God, this would not have been possible. It's literally impossible. And for me, my journey started 4 years ago, but everything that led it up to that journey was kind of like, I call it a season of me being under the radar. There's a lot of things that I learned about myself. There's a lot of things I learned about awareness. And you see, mastering the art of awareness and unlocking the eternal treasure within is connected. I don't believe anything in this life in terms of impact can stem and can be birthed without awareness. Awareness is the beginning point of every single thing in this world that will be of impact to anyone. And I believe, firstly, if we're to look at society as a collective, you have to look at the individuals in society. And if society is based on individuals, you have to have an awareness. Firstly, I took a point of view of, let me look at myself as an individual first, before I can now look at the shambolic state of our society we're in. Unfortunately, if I'm being real, we accept that I'll be vulnerable and honest. So I through the trajectory of 2023, the pain and disappointments, I didn't handle it well until there's a point I met this person, and this person really re-inspired me to get back into my faith. And still, I wasn't whole. My heart was broken. My heart was in a place of, how do I, because of the last 4 years of my life, I'm like, how do I claim to be this specific person who's trying to help people become a better version of themselves, while I'm here in behind the scenes fighting my own demons and always losing. So I had to really dig deep and find that, solace in myself, the soul searching, and find out what is my purpose, because I do believe purpose has no age. You don't need to be 50 to find your purpose. And as young people, this book is truly a book of principles that have been lost throughout the ages. A lot of old people know them. It's nothing new. A lot of young people don't know them, though. And with principles, whether you believe in them or not, they work. Such a principle we all know is what you sow, you reap. Is your awareness of what you're doing, expressing, that awareness is linked to the internal world within you. So why I say eternal treasures within is because you have to be aware that every single one of us has been given a gift of greatness. Inside of us, inside of every individual, God has blessed us with gifts. And I believe that this book will help people understand or offer a perspective of who they are as individuals. And that will truly help society as a collective. Because I believe if one person is walking in purpose, the world can be a better place. You know what I'm saying?
But even before I dive deep into those takeaways, what made you decide to launch a book and a clothing line? And tell us about the clothing line, a bit about the clothing line, now that you've talked about the book.
So with MWOTAJI means the dreamer. I don't know if you can show them the slides, kind of a background of what the brand means. With Neville has seen the beginning process of everything. We started off the brand as Me vs. Me, but I didn't think it was the one. I didn't think it clicked. And so I kind of, even within myself, I wasn't in the best shape of my physical life that I knew I could be. So if I'm launching a brand called Me vs. Me, how am I not fit to the best of my abilities? So I kind of had to delay that. And through the process, as I told you, the pain, the disappointments, I did a lot of soul searching, and I had a lot of clarity in what I believe I've been put on this earth to do. And every single one of us is put on this earth to serve in whatever area, whatever field. That's why it's called the narrow path, because I truly believe anyone who is going to do anything great in this world has to take a journey and journey on that path alone for a specific season. And when I understood what I'm supposed to do, I said, Neville, I called him. I said, brother, I think I have something special here. I said, actually, my brother helped me with the name because he's not going to allow me to say MWOTAJI is my own, because I was talking to him and I was saying, I have this name, the Dreamer, but I don't know what to name it. I looked at Greek. The word Greek means, I'm forgetting the name, but there's a specific word for the dreamer in Greek, but it didn't connect. But why I chose MWOTAJI is because I believe this brand is going to touch very massive heights that African sportswear hasn't touched yet. I have so much potential. I mean, I see greatness behind this brand, because everyone dreams. You know what I'm saying? If you don't dream, there's a problem. Because I think God has given us the privilege, even in the Bible. I don't know if based on your religion or whatever, I'm not religious, but I believe the Bible has principles that will always transform your life, whether you believe in them or not. There will be a benefit to your spiritual life, your mental life, physical life, financial life. There's so many keys in there. And Tribe of Dreamers is a community of people that take smart action. I don't believe in working hard without a plan. If you do work hard and work smart, then you actually achieve something of substance. So with MWOTAJI, we have Adventure Club, MWOTAJI Adventure Club coming soon. I have a lot of things planned out, maybe a few hikes. I'm inspired by my auntie who always, it's too much. The way she does 50Ks, 30Ks, like it's nothing. And she continues going to work day in, day out. And chairman, I think he's... let me leave that alone. But they inspired me because, no offense, but they're not young anymore, And it's amazing to see your discipline in how you pursue your physical life. Like, it's truly inspiring. And I believe as we are young, majority of us here are young, there's no excuse for us to not be in the best shape of our lives while we're young. Let me not go too deep, but MWOTAJI Tribe of Dreamers is a club of people who take smart action to fulfill their dreams. And on that note, we have an amazing trailer to play you guys, featuring my cousin Kyoko Mwindi. Please, Kyoko, stand up. He is the main actor in the short film. He did amazing. I think he shocked us. Me and Leon were shocked because it was almost like it's what he's born to do. So I'm excited to see what will happen for Kyoko in how this he seems like he was passionate about it. So without more long talk, you can play the trailer.
A dream without action is as gold found but not taken. As life is in the blood, so is a dream like the veins of man. You can have nothing, but if you have a dream, you have substance. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis, through which they are introduced to their true selves. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. They dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. You must bring yourself into alignment with what you're asking. You must do it for your future self.
I think that was amazing. Kyoko, why were you cringing? I see you holding your face. You did well. You did well. You should big up yourself.
Congratulations, young man. You did really well. There's something, actually, even before I get into the questions for the book, there's something that you've said repeatedly, and I've also picked it up from the video. You keep on saying pain, moment of crisis. So does pain or a moment of crisis really have to exist for someone to change?
If you're not stubborn like me, no. But because of I would say I'm strong-willed. And when I want something, I really go after it. And so with many people who are successful, they usually hit rock bottom before they discover who they're going to be, or the hidden version of themselves that has greatness, that creator, that person who has been hidden and camouflaged by so many disappointments of life. That person can be unlocked without pain or disappointment. But unfortunately, we as humans are very stubborn. We don't like to know. We don't like to know when it is that, we have to change our lives, because change first doesn't. Many people like change, but they don't understand that true permanent change doesn't happen overnight. You have to take time to understand the problems that are in your life, because the Bible says, guard your heart, for out of it flow all the issues of life. So if your heart is if it's saying guard your heart, it means your heart it's where the treasures are. And so if you as an individual don't realize that 99% of your problems come from you and your perspective and your awareness of the internal world within you, then that will have to happen. You'll have to experience some form of pain or disappointment. And that was truly how my journey of pain and disappointment, I call him in one of the books, I forgot the term, but they taught me a lot. And I think as men, we learn the most through failures, and even women. But men, it smacks us because of pride. Like, we have a lot of pride. And women do as well, but it's a different type of teaching. Pain is the teacher that turns a boy into a man. You know what I'm saying? It truly, truly turned me into someone who's conscious and aware that my life is actually in my hands. And that was the problem I used to have in the past. I used to have so much hope and expectations on people, and they would determine my joy and happiness. We would wait for this to happen, and then when it doesn't happen, another disappointment. And it was through 2023 actually that taught me, listen, Muli, like, your life, your joy, your happiness, your success is not in the hands of anyone else other than you. And so those were the things that truly positioned me to write the book and actually focus on MWOTAJI, the Tribe of Dreamers.
you said you're willing to be vulnerable. Are you willing to share with us one of those experiences? Give a full story.
Are we talking about the pain and disappointment? So there was this time in 2023 where I had met this girl, and this girl, it's one of those things where when you meet each other, the connection is instant. Like you feel like you've known each other for years. And I told you at that point, my heart was not it was not whole. And so I told her, I was very real with her. I told her, listen, I don't have the capacity to be serious. And as I continued spending time with her, it started changing. And I wanted to wild out because I told you pain can be used as fuel for hate and revenge. I wanted to hurt God a bit because I'm like, why so much pain? So much of my life the last 3 years was leading up to some specific thing happening, and it didn't happen. So it broke my heart. And so I said, what are the prayers for? What's the sacrifice for if it's not going to pay, if nothing's going to shift in my life? So that happened. Wait, so now let me tell you the backstory. So as we continued talking, things got deeper, like really quickly, because I couldn't guard my heart. I was going down a slippery slope of feelings. And I was real. And I told her, listen, I'm not in a place where I can take things seriously, like for real. And I know a lot of people want to know about my romantic life, so this is a few insights. So she left to go to the UK, and when she left, things got a bit deeper. I don't know how, but that just happened. And we were on the road of becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, so I did all my loyalties. Then one night happened, I drank a bit too much bubbly, and I ended up kissing someone. And that mistake, I didn't realize what I had done when it happened. The next day I opened up to her, I told her this was happened, and things ended. But for me, that pain of heartbreak, it changed me. Because I realized there's too much that I think. Like in the book I said, the man that I thought I was in my mind and the man that I currently are two different people. And so I had to discover, why would I allow myself to hurt someone that I claimed I love? And I asked myself hard questions for a long time. I took a 2-month hiatus. I said, I need to focus on myself. Because that pain, I believe, this is my belief, the pain that I caused her hurt me more than it hurt her. And you may call me crazy, but I believe it's the truth. And so during that period, obviously I confessed, she did not deserve it at all. And I knew I needed to be better. But even in my mistakes and in my failures, I'm honest. And I'm always inspired by David. David is one of the most amazing writers in the Bible. And his letters are all as a result of his pain. Because we would never have certain psalms, or we would never know how to repent to God if David didn't make certain mistakes. So I feel like there's so many lessons you can learn from your pain if you choose to. So that opportunity because I say to experience pain is to experience the preparations of opportunity. I'm going to let that one sink. So I saw that as an opportunity, and through that 2-month period, I kept on hearing in my spirit, it's time to write a book. And I actually told TK, he's not here, but I told TK, and I said, TK, I don't know why, but I just feel like I should write a book. Then he told me, same. I feel like I should write a book as well, but I'm so young. And I also concluded on that same thought that same day. But then when I got home, I challenged that thought. I said, why not? And you see, the thing about me is I didn't want to think too hard on it, so I just started writing. And if I tell you the first few sentences and how the book has ended is so different. So there's so much that I experienced through that pain that launched me into bringing these things into life. I truly believe it. If I didn't experience that pain, if I wasn't foolish enough to break that girl's heart, I wouldn't see MWOTAJI, I wouldn't see the narrow path. And unfortunately, she had to be the person. I don't know why, but she was. And we live, we learn, and we grow.
It's good that you shared with us that story. I think a lot of men, I think they're still a bit young, some of them. But yeah, I think a lot of us as men, we go through some pain that changes us. And I don't know why it always has to be that nice girl, but I think you live and you learn. And it's glad you shared. Hopefully the people who are younger than us don't have to go through the same things. In one of the chapters of the book, you talk about addiction. So maybe you could highlight a bit about that for us.
Oh boy. So I told you I'll be vulnerable. I had a problem with lust for so long. And Tupac, why are you laughing? I know because there's young people. So I'm trying to keep it PG. So for me, for the longest, because I have experienced those pain and disappointments from such a young age, I had to find ways to cope. I had to find ways to, if I'm constantly not getting what I want, how can I get what I want without not caring if it's good or bad? So I went on, a lot of people here can relate. I know you're smiling in your hearts. And I truly, actually, thank God deeply, like this is something that's very deep to me, that he's delivered me from that. And I'm humbled to understand that at any moment I could fall. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Please don't get it. Don't look at me here and think Muli is perfect. I'm just like you. But I've understood the dangers in addictions and how we as a generation, especially the young people, are in such a, this is such a sensitive topic to me. And my cousins, I beg, hear me out. There's so much in the internet. Again, the internet is a tool. You can either use it, look, this is because of the internet, but you can use it as a blessing to add value to the lives of others and yourself, or you can use it to distraction. For me, I used it for distraction for a few years because I was just a consumer. And with the addiction that I had, I'll be very vulnerable. It made me hate myself to an extent. Because even when I'm here, because I told you, last 4 years I was doing teaching groups in Pennsylvania. When I was in Pennsylvania, I had different teaching groups. I felt convicted to start by God. Went to Oklahoma, did the same thing. But in those periods, there was certain, what do you call it? A spell where I'd be good, then I'd relapse. And every single time I relapsed, I hated myself. I couldn't stand the fact that I'm actually someone who is claiming to stand for truth and purpose, but I'm falling. But the thing about addictions that I've learned, let me give you this tool, is that it should be replaced. It shouldn't be fought against. Find certain things in your life that can replace the addiction. Because I've tried it. Trying fighting this addiction is too strong, and I'm weak. You get what I'm saying? There's so much that can change if you take time to see, okay, what are my weaknesses? And you see, the thing about being spiritual, people think, I have to demystify this. People think spirituality is you're a monk in certain mountains living far from society, and that's all it comes to spirituality. And there's so many different forms of spirituality, but I believe the highest form of life is living by your spirit. But let me not get ahead of myself. But one of the ways that I overcame addiction was that I had to understand, where do I keep on going wrong? Why do I keep on relapsing? What is the problem that is making me stay in this situation? Again, I had to have that awareness, because I told you awareness is the first thing that will set you up for progress in any area of your life. If you're not aware that you have a problem, how are you going to change? And so I feel like there's a lot of people who don't take time to seek within themselves to discover, okay, this is where I go wrong. When I'm with this specific person, this is what happens. When I'm out like this and that, this is where I go wrong. How can I stop that? Change. It's as simple. But you see, the thing about we as humans, we have 3 parts of our being. We're tripartite beings. We have our flesh, our soul, and our spirit. And so if you don't realize that there's a war between your members at all times, it's going to be very difficult for you to overcome any form of addiction, because your flesh wants it. And how I define the flesh in layman terms is that thing that wants every craving, and it doesn't want to be told no. The soul of man seeks satisfaction, but the spirit of man seeks fulfillment. So people don't realize there's so many things you can do to fulfill to satisfy your soul. But because of the war between yourself, if your spirit is not fulfilled, you always feel lonely, depressed. You always feel like you're missing something. There's always feel like there's something off. Because the soul and the spirit and the flesh is the enemy, but the spirit needs to rule the flesh. And if the soul, I hope I'm not confusing people here. I hope we're flowing, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because you can be hearing me, but you're in another world. Are we kind of flowing together? So the soul I talk a lot about the soul being free from so many things. The soul is the mind, the will, the emotions. And if your mind is not expanded, and if you don't take time to educate your soul, I believe self-education is one of the most powerful forms of helping yourself become a better person. Because we're in an age where everything's available to us at this age. You don't need to go to school to be successful anymore. Because we should stay in school, cousins. I know my auntie was looking at me strong. But it's important that even outside of school, beyond the traditional education, we should take time to educate ourselves in whatever fields we desire to be. But I believe that if you're aware of self, the awareness of self is so important. And the thing about the spirit, the only person who can teach you about your spirit is your spirit. And I'll elaborate, because I saw a few eyes turning. Your spirit, for example, with how we function as humans, we all have different tastes. But the spirit is what relays messages to the soul. It's the spirit that relays what comes up with witty inventions, such as you have such an amazing idea, but you don't have the capacity to carry out in the soul. That's how you know it's your spirit speaking to you. But your soul needs to catch up to the message that your spirit has relayed. Like for me, I wrote a book, but I had no idea how to publish a book. And I didn't know how much that goes into writing, the structure, you know how we edited the book, brother. So those things, awareness of the addictions that you may be having, comes from understanding how you function as a human, first of all. If you're not aware of the spirit, the soul, and the flesh, that's a battle that will never end. But fortunately, the battle can be seized. You can actually allow yourself to flow from your spirit, soul, body, or flesh, rather than flesh, soul, spirit. Because if you allow your flesh to rule your being, you're basically an animal. So we as men and women, and I'm not going to get ahead of myself again, we have to take time to actually become aware of the world within. That's why I say mastering the art of awareness and unlocking the eternal treasures within.
You've talked a lot about... Before I even jump into my next question on the book, I think there's something you've really talked a lot about, awareness. You've repeated it quite a number of times. So I just want to ask you, why do you think young people are struggling to be aware or know about themselves? And what do you think they can do to learn and be aware of themselves?
You see, I wish I had someone who would teach me about myself when I was young. And I believe this book is a blessing to young people, because I didn't have anyone who would help me to understand, how do you rule your spirit? How do you discover yourself? And these are things that, unfortunately, there's not many extensive, in-depth topics that teach you about yourself. Yes, there's podcasts and there's amazing content out there, but there's certain things that only you can learn from you. And what was your question?
Why are young people struggling to be aware or learn about or know about themselves?
Forgive me. I went to a place, I think I was waffling. Why do young people struggle to learn about themselves? Again, if I had someone who would teach me the ways of learning about yourself, I think this book would have started when I was 15. But I'm fortunate for the timings of life, because someone actually told me, a mentor of mine told me, Muli, when you're 17, 18, 19, you will begin working what God has for you, and you'll also write a book. But at that time, I said, that's cap. What am I writing a book for? Why so far ahead? Because he was someone who walked in awareness of who he was so confidently. And I desired what he had so much. I say that this is special. And if you knew me when I was young, I had cornrows, I had mohawk, I had almost all the hairstyles because of him. I looked up to him so much because I saw, wow, how did he learn so much about himself? And he was my age, actually. He was 22, 21 at the time. And so I got so inspired, but my desires went unanswered for a season. So I forgot about that specific word he said, and I carried on with my life. And I thank God for giving me the opportunity of being a teenager. Because, of course, I'm not trying to make you guys grow up faster than you are, because I believe even being a child or being childlike in nature, not in terms of immaturity, but in the perspective of life is short. But you don't need to, again, I'll say this, you don't need to be 50 to discover what you're supposed to do on earth. And so if you, as a young kid, struggle to understand who you are, don't beat yourself up for it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that even I'm sure my mom, my sister, who is older than me, of course, my brother, who is also older than me, they can testify that these things don't happen overnight. It's a journey, and it constantly unravels. So even now, I'm not saying I've fully found my purpose. I'm constantly learning. And that's the thing about being on the journey of the narrow path. You are always learning. I don't think since the last 4 years of my life, because I say life didn't begin for me until 2019. Everything before that was just me existing. I wasn't even living. But I understood something, that it's so important to know at any moment in your life you could leave. You know what I'm saying? So when you start living life with purpose, you start feeling like you're living. And for me, when I started my journey in the US, as much as it felt like a burden, I actually had never felt more alive than ever. And so that began my journey into becoming the man that I know God wants me to be. You know what I'm saying? So as a young person, the first step will always change everything. As we all know, the generals are sitting in front of us. They have so much wisdom, and they understand just taking that first step is without knowing where it will lead to, is what makes life worth the living. You know what I'm saying? I hope that kind of gives you guys an understanding and insight on how to actually pursue the path of learning about who you are.
Again, actually, before I go back into my questions, you've said something that it's stood out to me, and there's someone probably maybe in the room sitting and asking, do I really need to find God to find purpose? What's your answer to them?
That's a very good question. I believe, because I'm speaking from my specific experiences, in the book I mentioned a vision I had, and that vision was so profound. And you may be asking, vision, what does that mean? You know, that's a raven, how she used to just, and she'd see certain things in the future. It felt like that. But at that time, I was in a very dodgy Airbnb in Salzburg. I don't know if you guys remember. I was supposed to stay there for 31 days, but I ended up staying there for 7 days. And in that 7-day period, I was only eating meals once a day. And because I felt like I was in a fasted state, I felt like now I could start seeing things, you know. I was seeing things, and my uncle can testify because we've talked about this before. But with understanding purpose, I don't think that you can understand your true purpose without God. Because there's a verse that I live by in Ecclesiastes that says, He has made everything beautiful in its time, and God has planted eternity into man's hearts. So that, I'm going to go slowly because I know some people are already clocking out. I'll say it again. He has made everything beautiful in his time. He has also planted eternity into man's heart so that no man can know what God has hid from the beginning to the end. What that means in layman terms, that's why I have a tattoo called Eternity Within, because when I read that, my life changed. And I understood every single person has an assignment and they have a purpose. But it's only God who could reveal it. Because he has hid it from others, and other people can't understand what your purpose is unless it's you. So you have to take that journey into becoming someone who's aware of, firstly, I do have greatness within me. Because eternity you can't learn eternity overnight. Eternity is God's realm. You can't understand God's realm just like that. You see, God dwells in eternity. And the thing about eternity, if you have eternity within you, it will take an eternity to learn about your eternal assignment. And I don't think it will ever end. But you see, we have people who have walked in that specific eternal assignment that till this day, they're gone, but their legacy is left behind. Those are people who walked in purpose. When you hear, oh, their legacy stays on, it means they touched their assignment that God had given them. We have a book written 2,000 years ago, but yet that book still touches in today's society so strongly. Again, whether you believe in it or not, it's up to you, but I believe purpose can't be given unless God reveals it. And so for me, I had so much desire to know what the heck am I supposed to do on this earth, because I got frustrated. And my brother Charlton would know. Why are you on your phone, brother? That's why I'm laughing. But anyway, let me not grill him. But me and Charlton, we go way back. Huh? And if there's something... if there's something you know about Charlton, he's an amazing person. He's hilarious. He doesn't try. That's the amazing thing about Charlton. Is he will walk into a room, the room will look at him without speaking first. His energy precedes his voice. And you see, the thing about me and him, we were in the US together, and we, how would you describe our journey in the US? Jesus Christ. Our journey in the US was 6 months, but it felt like a lifetime. We had so many different experiences there. We had a lot of fun. Let's not get it twisted. But Charlton landed on something through boredom. And guys, boredom is amazing. When you give yourself time to be bored, you can come up with amazing things. And actually, I'm laughing, but it's true. And he decided one day when when we were in our living room in the college campus that we stayed at illegally for 6 months, he started saying, you know what, bro, let me just go on Instagram Live. Let me go on Instagram Live. And we started these Instagram Lives. And so I know people who are here who were in the audience of those Instagram Lives. I'm not going to mention your name. But we had fun, let's say the least. But you see, the thing about Charlton, what really inspires me, and he doesn't even know, is that he's walking in his purpose, yet he doesn't know it. Do you know what's funny? Huh? We as humans can know what other people have, but it's hard to see what we have. So it's so easy to recognize, this person, I wish I had this. But it's difficult for us to know the good things we have about ourselves. And that's why the journey of self is so important, and the journey of purpose, because it's so easy to identify the negatives about you. But it's very difficult to identify the good things about you. You get what I'm saying? People need to take time to actually realize, I'm actually an amazing person. And Charlton, he knows he's amazing. And big up yourself for that, brother. But through that journey of forgive me. Through that journey, I know Charlton had fun, and I also had fun, but there was a voice within my spirit. I didn't want this. I was enjoying what we were doing. I can't lie. But there was a conviction. There was something burning in my spirit that was saying, Willie, you're made for more. And I had a restriction. Forgive me.
Should we put one of the videos on television?
Oh, no. So I had a internal restriction from continuing further in the festivities we were indulging in. And truth be told, Charlton didn't feel the same conviction as me. And we had different journeys. But when I told him, brother, listen, I said, after one Instagram Live, when my mind was spinning because we had drunk too much, I said, brother, this can't be my life. I can't be known for this. But he didn't care. And so I said, okay, this one I have to walk alone. I have to fight myself alone because me and him were like this, and we still are. But there's a level of respect we have with each other where we understand we know what to do. And we started, well, at that point, he also started realizing what he's supposed to do. He realized, yeah, hey, this thing of being funny, I'm natural at it, you know. Now look at his TikTok. Crazy. Amazing. Hey, big him up, man. We have celebs in the house. Mr. Bonnie Wekesa, I see you. So with Charlton, I felt like, yeah, me personally, let me journey on my own path. And I started now the journey of, it happened in May. That was May 2020. That was a significant turning point. After that happened, I went into kind of like a season of isolation where I didn't really see many people. And even the people I was with, I didn't connect with them. And they didn't understand what I was going through. So I said, okay, let me just do this. So I started binging on different content, teachings, podcasts. I buried myself in the knowledge. And so when that took place, all of a sudden my mindset started changing. And I started being more aware of the world within me. I'm so convinced. I landed Earth and I had experienced 17 years on Earth, but I didn't know where my mind was. I can't tell you what was going on in my mind during that period of me living. As I say, I was simply existing. But when I took that journey of actually, there's more to this. There's more to you. And I accepted that call. That's when now it's like a light switch went on. And I told him at that time, I think, this is my pastor. I was talking to a few females. I think around 7 or 8. But
you say loudly. Talk loudly. Why are you whispering?
And please, I told you we're being vulnerable. We'll respect that. Huh? Thank you. And so I didn't want to reply to those. So when it was one night I prayed a prayer. I said, God, if this conviction is from you, make yourself known to me. And the next morning, it's not like anything changed, but my heart changed. And I'm not going to say too much because you read the book. Please, read the book. The book is amazing. That moment, I had the heart change. I didn't want to reply to those, good morning, handsome. I didn't want to reply to those texts anymore because I just felt, there's more, and this is a distraction. I'm not saying women are distractions. Women, you're amazing. But for my path at that time, I couldn't accept the distractions because I felt like that would hinder me. And so I had to strategize with Charlton and my other friend at the time to know how to articulate a text so that I don't break anyone's heart and they will respect my decision with. So we decided, I think he even took my phone and started texting. He said this. So we did, and after that, it's like a burden left off my shoulders. And that's when now I really went deep. And so purpose begins with firstly accepting that you're made for more. I don't know if anyone has ever had that feeling, but even when you're out in the club, I know we have clubbers here, people who love the club. I'm not judging you. But when you're there dancing your socks off, all of a sudden a strong conviction hits you, hey, it's time to go home. You're built for more. So I would always have that. And I said, why can't I enjoy my life? What's going on? I'm young. This is my youth, But I had to understand later as I journeyed further is that wisdom is being childlike, being someone who works in purpose doesn't mean you can't have fun. So those are I had to demystify those things because people think being spiritual means you don't have fun. Being someone who works in purpose, your life is now boring. No, it's about understanding your tribe. And you see, that's why I love Tribe of Dreamers. I absolutely love this vision. And I thank God for revealing it to me. As I say, it can't be possible if it's God, because I, in my normal mind, can't just think of these things. And I tell my mom these things. I say, Mom, I have this. I'll tell her every time I have a dream or vision, I'll go to her. And she'd just keep them in her heart, But it's an amazing feeling to see it like live and direct, And all that is just as a result of the last 4 years of me taking time to pursue purpose with God, to answer your question.
Well, you said a lot of interesting things. I want to pick up from something that you said. You see, during your change period, a lot of people lose friends. You're fortunate to have Charlton. But what do you tell that one person sitting here today that's like, I keep getting this conviction to change. I keep getting this message. I keep getting this vision. But I'm scared to change because I'm scared my friends will leave me. I'm scared to be lonely. What do you tell that kind of person?
Don't care too much. Because if you care too much about the people that you're with, you will not be able to outgrow them. And I'm not saying that you don't need people. You do. But there's seasons of life. I believe that in specific seasons, we're called to walk alone. And for the fear of not, you see, I don't know, but I never had the fear of being alone. So it wasn't difficult for me. But for someone who may have that fear of being alone, it's okay, because when you find that purpose, you'll attract your tribe. You know, you have to go to a point of, instead of chasing, you attract. But you get to that point by first becoming, you know. And there's another vision of a brand I have called Born to Become, but that will come later. I love it as well because many people work hard, but they don't achieve the things that they want. And ask yourself why. But there's so many intricacies you have to be aware of when you're on that narrow path. Who is influencing me the most? Charlton influenced me too much. I started talking like him. There was a point I came back from US. Guys were saying, you sound exactly like Charlton. I said, why? I spent so much time with him. We literally became one person. I think there was a point we didn't need to communicate with our mouth to understand each other. It was telepathic. And it was an amazing friendship, and it still is. You know, I'm grateful for that. But you have to, if people are not willing to let you grow as an individual, as you guys are friends, then I don't think they're genuine friends. So you have to, I always say, you have to take time to search, who am I actually claiming as a friend? And so for me, the journey actually was lonely, but I'm grateful because the people who I have now found, and I will continue to find again, are people who are going to align with that vision. And now, because I understand my purpose and vision, I know who's not going to align with it, and I won't waste time. So it has given me discernment on how to know and navigate my relationships very easily. So again, with that journey of becoming someone of purpose and vision, I hope no one is sleeping. Huh? I saw someone's yawning, so I hope I'm not losing you guys. But on that journey of becoming, I had to be okay with being alone. And it's okay to be alone. It doesn't mean, you see, you can be alone, but you're not lonely. But you can be people, but you're lonely. And we all know this. So it's good to identify those people, because, again, you don't need 100 people to be able to walk in purpose. But where 2 or 3 have agreed on a matter, it is established. So if you find those people who are in alignment with what you're pursuing, I feel like purpose will always unravel the way it's supposed to be. And friends will come and go. It's the truth. And I don't want this to sound like a lecture, but it's the truth. And I reached a dangerous place in my walk where I had to sit down and navigate dangerous thoughts. I asked myself, if this person dies in my life, will I hate God for it? And this is very deep, because I used to go down the path of, if, let's say, for example, God forbid, my mom dies. Will I hate God for it? Yes, mom, you know. If that happens, will I be destroyed? Because I used to depend on people so much. But from a young age, I was very independent, and I hated depending on people. My mom knows this. And so when I started understanding that, Muli, you're too attached to certain people, God started removing them. Slowly, they would call. Slowly, you know, when I'm trying to reach out, I'm doing the most. I said, okay, these are signs. Because in this day and age, everyone has a phone. It goes both ways. So, and people are conscious of things. So if people are not, they're not reaching out to you, or, you know, you claim you have friends and they're not, you know, doing what friends do, then it's a sign. Maybe God is telling you, okay, these people are not supposed to be in your life right now. Prioritize you. So I used to take those signs from so many different things. God has taught me so much about relationships. Even in Michigan, I learned so much about people there, even though I was not with many people, because I thought I knew my friends until I lived with them. Charlton and Tevin were at that time were my closest friends. But we had so many fights. But it wasn't because of me and Charlton. And I'm not going to bash anyone. But we had to understand this life of friendship teaches so much about, who you are as an individual. Because I could see through my friends who I was. And my identity, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. My identity was definitely rooted in who my friends were. And God didn't want that for me because that wasn't in alignment with my path. So identify what your path is and stick to it. It may sound obvious, but unfortunately, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. You get what I'm saying? I think that one flew over some people's heads. Because it's easy to spend, let's say, 100 shillings. It's not that easy to save 100 shillings. You get what I'm saying? So those are the things that I had to navigate as I was journeying on this path.
Back to the book. You have a chapter that you talk about facing doubt. Maybe you could tell us more about that.
That was I'm not going to say my battle with doubt is over. But it definitely doesn't have as much strength over me anymore. And even in my football, it reflects doubt is something we all face always. In my football, in my journey in the US, in Oklahoma, I didn't really believe I was that good. And I wasn't convicted that I was good, even though other people could see. But I wasn't convicted that, you're actually talented. I didn't think I was good enough. And that's because of doubt. I'm not going to go too deep because in the chapter I really touch on it a lot. But we need to take time to understand that doubt is like what do you see? A mirage. When you're in the desert and you see water, but it's not really water. It's like it causes you to perceive things that are not there. So all of a sudden you'll have certain negative views on who you are as a person that will disqualify you. Sorry, Mahinda is here. Mahinda is the one who designed MWOTAJI, Tribe of Dreamers. Please, Mahinda, stand up, honor him. Thank you, brother. He's an amazing graphic designer, and he's dealt with my impatience quite a lot. But we've created something special again. Thank you, brother. Back to facing doubt. Doubt would hinder me from taking those first steps that are unknown. And you see, the thing about people, they don't really like uncertainty. But if you're to be someone who is great in this life, you have to be okay with uncertainty sometimes. And as my brother loves the Stoic philosophy, and I also love it, whatever is not in your control, why are you stressing about it? And so with doubt, it's linked with so many other things. Doubt has so many other evil companions. Fear, anger, jealousy, envy. All these things are triggered from doubt. But fear is the goat. Fear is dangerous. Because when you don't understand, fear and doubt are like how me and Charlton used to be. They are strong force. Whenever you're in the battle of fear and doubt, it's going to be very difficult for you to overcome it if you're not aware of. Sometimes you need wisdom and strategy on how to overcome doubt. So with the book, even while I was writing it, I was doubting myself. I'm like, why am I writing a book? Like, generally, I have so much that I have not done or achieved yet. So the voice of doubt was valid, 100%. I completely understood that the things that I'm doubting are valid. That's the scary part. Because I knew, I haven't achieved anything yet. Who is this guy writing a book? There's so many people who are asking those questions. Who is this guy to write a book? And the truth is that it's an anomaly for a 22-year-old to write a book, or when I was 21. You know what I'm saying? So God, in his divine strategy, placed it in my heart to recap what my life has been these last 4 years on book. Because I'm grateful that even the day I'm gone and the day my journey ends on earth, this book will still stay. And it will be a blessing to at least one person. That's all I need. I don't need 100 billion people, even though one day maybe. But with doubt, there's so many things that you can achieve and be a blessing to so many people if you just take those first steps. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, who knew, maybe some people wouldn't like the book. Some people wouldn't read it. And I'm working on audiobook and e-Kindle for those who can't read. they'd prefer to listen. I understand. But I didn't care if I failed or not. Like, that's one thing that now I'm aware of. I don't really care if I fail because it's a lesson. We don't really fail, we learn. And that's the quickest thing I learned on the narrow path. That every single time I failed or I said something I wasn't supposed to say, I learned. And you see, the thing about a wise person, I'm not saying I'm wise, but if you know, you know. You don't need so many corrections to learn. One beating and you're good. And you know, there's some people who are very obedient children who, when you mash them up, when their parents mash them up as a child, they don't need to be beaten again. And I thank God my mom did not beat me as much as she beat my brother and sister. And I'm grateful how I turned out as a man. But wise people know how to perceive every single thing from a lesson. And even with the chairman, I am so inspired by his mind, and he's so intelligent. And I'm going to honor him because he doesn't need to speak in order for you to know how wise he is. You see, you can learn so much about how he moves. Firstly, the first thing I learned is when you're in events and he's tired, he'll disappear. You won't see him again until the next day, or even whenever he chooses to spawn again on the earth. But his movements taught me your presence. You need to value your presence and value it above satisfying other people, putting yourself first. That's an amazing lesson I learned from him. And every time I used to go out, I would always say goodbye to everyone in the club. But I realized, these people are even drunk. They won't even recognize my goodbye. So those little things that he walked in taught me, you know what, Muli, value yourself. I hope I'm not losing some people, huh? Okay. But long story short, that was how I handled my battle with doubt. And that's how I think we should handle our battles with doubt in the future.
You have, I think, 3 chapters in a row, Chronicles of a Wise Fool. What motivated you to write about that?
There was so many failures, again, as I would say, that made me recognize, yeah, Muli, you're a wise fool. Because you know, when you know what to do but you don't do it, I don't know if you can relate. You know what you're supposed to do but you don't do it. You know what you're doing is wrong, but you still do it anyway. Again, that's because of, as I said, the tripartite being we are as individuals, my flesh would rule. And so with me, the Chronicles of the Wise Fool is actually, like when I tell you when I was writing the book in 4 days, I couldn't even, I can't tell you my thought process behind it until I saw it finished. Because when I saw it finished, I said, wow, this is amazing. Because every single time I read the book, it re-inspired me again. And it's not cringe. You know, I used to be, again, if anyone here is a perfectionist can relate, is perfectionists don't really appreciate the good things that they do. We tend to overlook the good things and then highlight the negative things that we do. Because the negative is like, you know, we shouldn't be doing this. The positive, this is the norm. So for me in the book, I'm grateful that I'm writing a book where when I'm 20 years older, I won't look back at it and cringe. Because I'm humbled to know that the wisdom that is expressed and articulated in the book is timeless. So the Chronicles of the Wise Fool was inspired by, again, the addictions that I was facing in Oklahoma, in Pennsylvania, and even in my time back here in Nairobi. But I think we can all relate. But what inspired me was King Solomon, an amazing, amazing man. And of course, he had his shortcomings and his failures. But the books that are in the Bible, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, those wisdom books, came from men who failed over and over and over again. And Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived in his time. And I don't know if, again, there'll be someone like Solomon. But you see, his life changed from a dream. God came to him in a dream and said, ask what you want. And because he had recently been ordained king, an anointed king, he started now saying, yo, I'm just a child. these people who I can't even count or number are great, and how am I supposed to rule them without wisdom? So he asked God for wisdom, and God gave him what he asked for, and on top of that, wealth. And so I began to become someone who would pursue wisdom relentlessly. I hate being ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate the fact that my mind, the only mind that God has given me, and I have the ability to expand it, but I don't do it because I'm lazy. Like I tell you, I can't go a single day without learning something new. It's impossible. I feel like my day has been wasted. And so with the Chronicles of the Wise Fool, there were so many things I knew and I'd learned and I'd acquired, but I didn't know how to apply them. You know what I'm saying? So right now I'm at a place where I'm a lot more aware, because again, there's a lot more on the line now. I've written a book. You know what I'm saying? I can't just carry myself anyhow. And so the things I talk about in the book, even when it comes to overcoming addiction, vulnerability is important. Because if you're not okay with being vulnerable, you will live in that secret sin until your grave. Secret sin is crazy. Secret sin will act. Me personally, I couldn't live with it. It would haunt me. And again, I'm not here to bash anyone if you have secret sins. But it's important to know that vulnerability, and you see, I had the teaching group at the time, so I would tell people who looked up to me my problems. Because anytime I was in a situation where I was going to fall, I would think of them and say, Amuli, you're built for more than this. Remember the purpose. So even in my mistake, purpose was the greatest thing that helped me overcome addiction. And I don't believe it's possible to set yourself free, or rather allow God to also set you free from overcoming addiction if you don't take time to really be okay with being vulnerable. And then there's also 4 other things I talk about in the book in that specific chapter that are so profound and truly actually helped me, because I'm so practical in my way of being. I hate just being told things and not knowing how to do them. So I always find the hows. Yeah, we know why, but how? You know what I'm saying? So the Chronicles of the Wise Fool is basically my life in the last, basically my life, not even the last 4 years, but in my time of being here on earth, as young as I am, I have learned things that are beyond my time. And I know that people who are in their 50s know them, but they don't live by them. So for me, my desire was to become someone who lived by the principles I know, not just head knowledge. And so the Chronicles of the Wise Fool was a series of me taking time to become someone who lives by these things, not just knows them. And so that's kind of how I started navigating that narration specifically.
I think for time purposes, I don't know if anyone in the audience has a question. At least let's get 2 or 3 questions from the audience.
Don't be shy.
Mutai, you look like you want a question. Okay.
Kiki, can we get a mic? No, you don't worry.
So you've talked a lot about being in your purpose and all that, but I feel like what a lot of us would want to know, what do you do when it's just you? There's nobody else watching you. There's no one who's aware of anything that you're doing. You have this image of yourself and all that, and everyone has a perception of you as well. But you're in the moment, the urge is there, whatever it is that is your addiction or whatever it is that you're trying to stay away from. What do you do that keeps you, centered, that keeps you, exactly what you're doing, and there's no one to keep you there accountable? Why stop yourself?
Very good question, Arnold. Arnold is my coach, AMSC Performance, live in the building. Please stand up. Amazing guy. Amazing guy. I've journeyed with Arnold for almost a year now, and we've had an amazing friendship that we've developed. And he's also learned a lot about me, and I've learned a lot about him, and I've learned a lot about myself through him, actually. And in regards to your question, so you're basically asking me, what do I do when I'm alone? And how do I continue resisting certain things when I'm alone? Again, it stems back to, people don't like these words, but it's true. Huh? It stems back to being disciplined. I know people cringe when they hear discipline and say, please, Muli, with the discipline. I don't want to hear nonsense. But it's true, because it's important to stay on the path. That's why it's narrow. At any moment, you could miss it. And so for me, I'm aware with the narrow path, it's narrow. If you want to become someone of purpose and you're following the crowd, you'll just be a sheep. But if you want to become a leader and someone who changes life and changes the trajectory of society, you have to take time to sacrifice. And so for me, when I'm alone, my family knows this well. I can only see my mom though. I do take time to read a lot. I always read, and I always, again, take time to learn. And the things that I learn, I'm so practical. Like, there was a specific time in my life, I would write down every single thing I learned every day. I'd write on my journal, and Tupac has an amazing journal that he's just released. Please get it. Justtokickitisablessing. I would take time to be practical and write down what I learned, because I would summarize what I learned to the best of my ability, where it's so simple that, yes, I've read a whole book, but what's the main message I have learned? You get what I'm saying? So with how I carry myself when I'm alone, again, that's where it matters the most for me, because I hate being a hypocrite. And that's why the Chronicles of the Wise Fool is a specific series in the book, because I hated feeling like a hypocrite. I hated feeling like, yeah, I'm telling people this, but behind closed doors, man, I'm fighting, I'm losing. You get what I'm saying? And so for a specific period of my time, I had to be humbled by God, because I refused to be humble. I refused to accept, this thing is bigger than you. And the truth of the matter is that certain battles you can't fight, you need wisdom. And wisdom is the word wisdom is actually skill. It's demonstrated. And I'll give you an example. When Solomon I said he got his life changed from a dream. When God decided, okay, yeah, we've given you the wisdom of God. He had, I'm not sure who knows the story, but I'll briefly summarize. 2 women. One woman lied on her child. The child died. She took the other woman's baby. They went to court the next day. Solomon said, you know what? Get me a sword. Cut the baby in half. And whoever is the true mother, do you know how strange that is? And the true mother cried. She said, no, leave my child. Let her have it. Then everyone was amazed at the wisdom of Solomon. So it was demonstrated. And obviously there's so many layers of revelation in that specific story in the Bible. But I had to take time to actually know, okay, Muli, be aware of your weaknesses. So sometimes I would recognize, Muli, your phone is the greatest tool to your downfalls. I know so many people can relate. But I would get to a point where it was because of my phone that I was falling. So I had to take time to divorce myself from my phone because I was too attached. I couldn't leave the house, go to the bathroom, do certain things without my phone. And I felt like that was a problem. And many people can relate because I was married to my phone. Every single time I'm checking what's going on. But I wasn't checking the world within. So when I took a step back, I realized that's the problem. If you Muli discern and know how to separate yourself from this dopamine device, because it's truly insane how much dopamine people are addicted to right now through our devices, but I'm not going to go there. So to answer your question, Arnold, I had to learn that there's so much on the line now. You know what I'm saying? And to make it simple, remember what that vision was. So I'm grateful I had the vision. And I always go back to the vision because I realized, Muli, now life is not just about you anymore. And I became someone who desired to help people understand, you know what, there's potential of who you could become. You don't have to listen to me. But as long as I present the opportunity for you, because time and chance does that for everyone, as long as you have the chance to know, okay, there's actually a higher dimension to me as an individual, I've done my purpose. I don't need to convince. That's a seed. Now, whoever waters it. But that became my North Star. I would see how many people are actually changing from certain talks I would have from America in Pennsylvania, Oklahoma. Like I've seen one specific guy, I know he's probably going to watch this, Timothy Buku. I've seen how much my life has changed his life. And every single time I have that desire, I say, nah. It's like he's kind of like a mini me, like he's kind of like my son, because I'm grateful to God that through me obeying that conviction in Michigan, I've seen fruition from it. So the results keep me going. Because if I wasn't seeing any results, I would say, what's the point of fighting this thing? Let me chop life. But I've actually realized there's a level of consecration you actually have to have if you're going to be impactful. You know what I'm saying? Does that answer your question? No? Perfect.
Anyone else? Anyways, as we come to the end of this, what's your parting shot? What's your final word to the guests?
Thank you guys for coming. First of all, you look lovely. A few people missed the big sign that says smart casual. But I'm not going to say names. But yeah, smart casual red carpet. But thank you guys for coming. I know our attention spans in this generation is just deteriorating, but you guys I've seen your eyes and you guys are actually listening. So I'm honored that you guys took time to actually come through and be here. It's a blessing. I truly believe this is the beginning of greatness. You know, like when you read this book, treat it as a mirror. Don't take my word as final. You know what I'm saying? Take time to actually find out if what I'm saying is true. Because the principles I say, test them. Because I always test what I learn. You know what I'm saying? Every single time I learn something, I want to test the wisdom and see if it works. To give you an example, is I used to learn words are important, but I didn't know how important. Until there was a specific time in Pennsylvania when I was in Kiski, I had a serious ankle strain. And at the time I was in, COVID was thriving. And so we couldn't really play specific games like how a regular season would be. So in a regular season, there's like 15 plus games. But in that season, we only had 5 games and the rest were intramural. So in that period, when I twisted my ankle, I was so used to walking it off because, you know, Kenya here, our pitches are not the best. So you'd find out, just tough it out, you know, but that was so bad. I myself couldn't even tough it out this one. So I said, am I actually going to miss this game? And the game was in 2 days. And so when I went to get it iced out and checked out in the physio room, out of frustration, I started speaking to my foot. I know it's strange, but I started speaking to my foot. I said, you actually heal by force, and I will play this game. And I said that all the way till I go to my dorm room, but nothing changed. And then the next morning, weirdly, and I say God is my witness, the swelling had decreased because the swelling was massive. That's why I had to get it iced out. It had decreased, and there was just a little bit of discomfort, but I knew with the solid wrap, I could play the game, and I played the game. And so that was like the beginning of, Moli, your words are actually powerful. And me being aware of my words helped me also understand the words I'm speaking to myself. Because we're always having a constant dialect, conversation within ourselves, in our minds. But how often are we aware of the good thoughts, the bad thoughts? Those thoughts that are passing through you, are they really you speaking? Because I talk about deep things in the book. I talk about spiritual things that I feel like if you think life is only based on what you see, you have a very limited way of thinking. And you're hindering yourself from understanding that there's greatness within you. Because that greatness isn't going to be seen with the physical eye, you know. But there's treasures, millions in each and every one of us. We've not been born to suffer. You know, I don't believe God put us here to suffer. And so when you take time to be aware of the intricacies within you, such a thing as your thoughts, your words, and that internal communication shapes your external communication. It shapes how you communicate as an individual. It shapes how you perceive other people communicating to you as well. Because many people have, I'm not going to bash women, huh? But there's sometimes you find out your man, why is he not responding to my text? Why is he What is he doing? I'm calling him, he's not answering. All of a sudden, you've made a scenario in your mind. He's probably out with this girl. They're doing this. They've done this. I'm going to kill him. Then you come home, you find out it was just in the gym, his phone died. But you see that the internal dialect shaped your external communication. It shaped how you perceive things. So if you don't realize how important it is on how you communicate to yourself as an individual, man, you're going to suffer. And so in closing, I truly think that this book will raise awareness of each individual's capacity to change the world. As I believe everyone can change the world. Everyone, every single person has the ability to change the world, to become a better world. Because unfortunately, there's so much darkness in the world in today, with all the things we're seeing nowadays, with how men are moving nowadays. We're moving mad. You know, I'm not going to talk too much on that, but it's scary to see that these are the examples we have, or our younger people have as men. Men who can't fight their urges. Men who can't resist pleasure for purpose. It's difficult to raise a younger generation if we as men are not following certain principles that will make them look at us. Because as a young person, and I told you I consume a lot, I know how to know if someone is waffling or if someone is actually living by the things that they say just by watching them. You know what I'm saying? It's like we as a generation don't want to just hear you talk. We want to see how you live. We want to see how you move. And the young people that are looking at men who are in their 20s to 40s, and there's not many examples that are good genuinely anymore. Like killing someone that you love. I'm going to go there for a second. It's insane. But that's because people don't know the flesh, the soul, the spirit. There's a difference. If you're not aware of that war within you, you become an enemy of everyone's progress. You get what I'm saying? So as young men look up to us, it's so important that we also hold a standard. You get what I'm saying? There has to be a standard. I think morals are lost nowadays. And I mention about them in the book because these things are relevant to everyone in society nowadays. You can't avoid it. And so when you take time to seek who you are as an individual, that's when now you can actually say, okay, this individual is moving like this now. They shouldn't move like this. That's when you can actually help others. But how can you help someone if you can't help yourself? You know what I'm saying? So that's why Chronicles of a Wise Fool is so important to me, because I could not help myself, but I was helping others. How? It wasn't making sense. And so that's why I'm at a place now where I'm comfortable, humble. At any point I could miss it. But I'm aware that, Muli, there's more to life. We're here to set a generation for younger people. And I want my cousins specifically to understand this message, because the uncles and aunties we have are not going to be here forever. It's going to be us. Like, everyone knows we're the new adults. Like, it's crazy. But we have to hold ourselves to certain morals and standards that shouldn't be moved. So, in closing, please take time to read the book and give me your feedback, actually. I'm very curious to know your opinion. For those who have read it, I'm not going to say too much, but I hope you actually enjoyed the book. And there's MWOTAJI shopping outside. Please get something if you desire. I would love for people to also take time to take pictures with the banner we have. And our photographer, Leon, is somewhere. Yes, Leon is there. So don't be shy. I know my sister will take full advantage of that opportunity that prevails. Because you look amazing. Your makeup is good today. I love it. Always. Sorry. Always. But yeah, that's my say.
On my part, thank you as well. But I think I've spoken a lot, so I will let Charlton do the vote of thanks.
Charlton. Come. Oh, there's a mic coming your way, so you take the mic. Come to the stage now. Please, Mr. MC. Look at
Red.
Oh boy.
Thank you everyone for coming. This is not my event, obviously Muli's event. I'd like to say, first of all, I know you don't like me saying this, but big credit to your mom. 2014 to 2020, I raised this guy. Everything from him from those years was everything. The people, things, his behaviors, everything. It was me. But I'm sure he gave you some good years there. But brother, I'd like to say, I know in this society, people, men especially, don't like to give each other their flowers. But it's crazy that, like, I'm obviously older than you. But it's crazy that you're sitting here launching your book and I'm in the crowd, you know. It's a big thing to see, and I'm really proud of you, bro. So congrats on that.
Thank you, brother.
And for everyone else, thank you for coming. You all look great, whether you had the theme or not. I appreciate. There's a lot of people in the crowd that I already know. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. The book signing will be outside. So you guys, if you want to get a signed copy of the book, I will be outside. And if you want to buy, there will be the till number there that you can get as well. So copper hoodie. I know there's some athletes here get a vest. I really love the vest. And it's only 30 pieces. So if you guys don't finish them or don't buy for the loved ones you have, I'm unfortunate by next week they might be gone. So get one when you can. So yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Please play the trailer one more time so that they can watch. The second one. Because I know Charlton and some people missed.
A dream without action is as gold found but not taken. As life is in the blood, so is a dream like the veins of man. You can have nothing, but if you have a dream, you have substance. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their true selves. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. They dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. You must bring yourself into alignment with what you're asking. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. You must do it for your future self.
Shout out Leon. I don't know where Leon is, but shout out Leon, man. He killed the shoot. We've done a lot of work together. He's been the one behind every single video you've seen. So big up to him. He's an amazing guy.